The Sports Source Saturday Kickoff is brought to you by Hearthside Bank and by Madisonville Marine.
Your defensive line got to be really good. They've got to bail those guys out, especially with Colton Hood not feeling up to speed. Hopefully he's well, we know he ain't going to be 100%.
Tennessee's got to make sure they keep John Mateer off his game by getting some pressure on him for sure, but Mateer is the key to this game in a lot of ways for Oklahoma.
I think if they go too deep, then I think that Miles Kitselman's got the chance to have a really good game. I think that Joey Aguilar is really good at looking at what the options are.
But Joey Aguilar shows why he's the best passer in the SEC, not Ty Simpson, not John Mateer, even pre-injury.
If you're going into every game expecting him to throw 5 of those perfect passes over the top, you're asking for trouble. So I think you're going to have to get that run game cranked up a little bit more tonight.
But I just have a feeling this is going to be a wild game. There's going to be craziness, probably some non-offensive touchdowns.
You see the elephant in the room, but you ignore that the elephant's actually there. You try not to talk about it as much as you can. You're going to have your rumblings in your offensive meeting rooms and stuff like that. We're like, man, if the defense could do this, if they could do this, it would help us out so much. But you try to ignore it until it hits a breaking point.
I think that Oklahoma are a bunch of frauds who played a bunch of nobodies, and then Ole Miss exposed who they were. I also think that defense is getting tired.
Good Saturday morning and welcome into the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. Hope your Halloween was a good one last night. And then for Tennessee this evening, we hope it's more treats than tricks as they host Oklahoma in the Neyland Stadium. Dark mode coming your way tonight. I know Ollie Lane all excited about dark mode. I'm John Pennington, joined by VFL Ollie Lane, joined by VFL Marlon Walsh, joined by John Wilkerson right here to my right. And we're here to get you ready for Tennessee versus Oklahoma. Let's get through the nuts and bolts here for you in this segment called Setting the Stage, brought to you by Hearthside Bank, always within reach. Visit hearthsidebank.com to find the absolute best banking you can get anywhere in East Tennessee or Southeast Kentucky. Hearthsidebank.com. Okay. Vols come in at 6-2, ranked number 14 in the nation. Oklahoma number 18 in the country, also 6-2. Tennessee one game better in the SEC. They're 3-2 to the Sooners 2-2. Both teams need to win out to stay alive in the playoff hunt, according to ESPN's predictor models. The Vols currently have the 16th best chance of making the field. Oklahoma right behind them, 17th best chance of making the field. Their computers, and does anybody ever go back and check to see when their computers are right or wrong? I don't think so. But their computers give Tennessee a 63% chance of winning tonight, 64% chance of winning at the Swamp, 61% chance of beating Vanderbilt. So easy peasy, man, undefeated. Game time tonight, 7:30. Of course, that's on ABC. If you're watching us right now on WATE, that means you don't have to change the channel at all. It'll be Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler on the call. And as you know, dark mode time, Vols be wearing their black uniforms, as I mentioned earlier. In terms of injuries, Oklahoma has a longer list of questionable players than Tennessee does, but Arian Carter was the only Vol listed on the first reports this week in terms of questionable. You have the normal guys who are out, McCoy Gibson and Travis Smith. Colton Hood is also a guy to watch as we go through it today. This is a guy who pulled a calf strain is the word, in the Kentucky game. He's going to try and give it a go is what they say. We'll see tonight how much of a go he can give it. He played about 45 of 75 snaps last week. You're already down your 2 starting corners. If you lose your number 3 corner, if you think, and I think I've said this on other shows we've done, can't get any worse. Well, maybe you can. Try taking Colton Hood off the field, so we'll see. But I want to start right there. Let's talk about Tennessee's pass defense going against John Mateer and Oklahoma's offense. Tennessee's secondary has faced better passing offenses by the numbers this year. That's the positive. The negative is you made Cutter Boley of Kentucky last week look like Tim Couch, Jared Lorenzen. He was 330 yards, 5 touchdowns against the Vols. Marlon, for that reason, I don't know how much you could trust the guys on the back end. So the guys up front better pin their ears back.
Hey, listen, John, those 2 positions go together. Defensively, you get some sacks called coverage sacks. And then on the back end, you get interceptions called pressure interceptions. So your defensive line got to be really good. They've got to bail those guys out, especially with Colton Hood not feeling up to speed. Hopefully he's well, we know he ain't going to be 100%. But he's going to rely on those guys up front. If you can get pressure on Mateer, make him speed the process up. It makes your back end look good. Hopefully we get him in some trouble. He can throw us one and make those guys look really good on the back end. If they do not get to him, then now you got more time to throw the football, which means our weaknesses are going to be exposed. Now you're putting Colt Hood on the island, and I'm pretty sure Venables is thinking, let's go test 8 out. Or really, we can test 8 and 4 out because it's wide open on the backside. So those guys up front, man, they got to bail them out today, and I'm looking forward to them doing that. Or else it's gonna be a long one for us.
All right, Ollie Lane. One interesting note about this team: I think we always go in with the Josh Heupel team. It's like, well, they'll run for 200 yards a game. This year's team's running for 188 yards a game. Still pretty good, but it's not as good as it has been. I have concerns. That's me. You tell me though. The drop in run game total numbers, their yards per carry is still good. Is then this a serious concern, or is this just a byproduct of, no, the passing game's working? Passing game's back on, so we're running a little bit less. Where are you? You feel good about the run game?
I feel decent about the run game. I think to somewhat it is a byproduct of, well, now you got the deep ball kind of working for you, so you don't have to rely as much on the run game. You're getting some other things moving in that area. The only thing I get concerned about is just the way that we are subbing our running backs in. I think at some point, Deshaun Bishop is your most consistent running back. I want to see him get to carry 25, carry 30. Similar to what we did, last year it was Dylan Sampson that carried most of that workload.
Yeah.
Year before that it was Jalen Wright that carried most of that workload. I think by this point in the season, we've identified Deshaun Bishop as the best running back out of that room, and I think Star Thomas is a very close second. So I'd like to see him continue to get a higher load of reps, and I think that might make that running game look a little bit better in terms of getting more production out of them.
We talked about this a little on our show, The Final Word, which you can see on the Sports Source Digital Network. You can go back and find it. Since it's a night game, I'll expect you to leave this show, go over to the YouTube channel, look up Sports Source Digital Network, and watch The Final Word. But we talked a little bit about the run game. We'll go we'll go off on a tangent here just for a second. I think, Marlon, you agree with me that you want to use Deshaun Bishop as your lead back, that's fine, but typically they just use their backs as you're interchangeable. Yeah. I call the same plays for you that I call for you. Yeah. Whereas I would like to see them, I don't think they're going to, but I would like to see them use Deshaun Bishop as your number one back. Star Thomas is your third down back, or Star Thomas is your pass catching back. Yep. Use him more out of the backfield, get the ball to him. And Peyton Lewis, he's solid in short yardage. Yeah. I wouldn't be giving him carries over Star Thomas if it's me, and I think you agree with that.
Yeah, I think I haven't seen many systems where offensively you don't take advantage of the different personnel you have. When you see Peyton Lewis start a series on our own 25 coming out, for me it's confusion because it's a little different. Like you said, power back, short yardage. We want to go for it on 4th and 1.
Use him in the red zone.
Most definitely. Yeah. Give him a direct snap in the red zone. Let him go put it into the goal line. But as far as just giving those guys a series, it doesn't get you any rhythm, right? And as a running back, from what I've seen from different running backs talk about, they get stronger and carry 10, 12, 13 in opposed to, hey, you're down this series, you're up. Yep. And so now you got to watch for a series. And so I think that's one of the things I disagree with, and I think that hurts our production from our running back group as well.
Be interesting to see what they do tonight because I don't know how Oklahoma's going to defend you. My guess is, and I'll let you give me your take, this is a team that last year, they kind of gave everyone else the blueprint. Now, there are other teams that have done this in the past, but after Oklahoma last year, it's like everybody looked at what Brent Venables did and said, oh, well, let's just drop 8, sit over the top, and make them try and run it down the field on 10 plays. They'll have a penalty. They'll shoot themselves in the foot, and it won't happen. I wonder, when you look at a defense that is ranked number 1 in the SEC in scoring defense, total defense, pass defense, and rush defense. Pretty good defense on paper. We'll see who they've played. You could say the same about Tennessee, but Oklahoma's defense is solid. Do you think Brent Venables is just going to sit there and drop 8 again and say, beat me with your run game, you're not going over the top on me?
Wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't employ the same situation, although I do think it's a very different matchup. You can bet Kentucky would love to give that a try if they'd had a chance for a do-over last week because Tennessee, they dared them to beat them deep, and Tennessee beat the heck out of them deep. But I do think it's very different because last year you weren't exactly sure what you were going to get in terms of a baseline from Nico Iamaleava. He could have great games. More than likely, he was just going to have coin toss kind of
game manager.
Yeah, so you don't have that this year. I think if they go too deep, then I think that Miles Kitselman's got the chance to have a really good game. I think that Joey Aguilar is really good at looking at what the options are, that he doesn't have to go full bore all the way because that's the only shot you have for a big play. I think he's very patient, and as long as you can keep their pass rush off of him, he's going to have the chance to make his progression. And I think that when you have guys that have dropped that far, you're going to have spots. And I mean, because my guess is it would be more of a zone, and I think there'd be soft spots in it.
In terms of Joey Aguilar, let's throw some more praise. Talked about it all week, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but 5 deep balls last week. This is not a high percentage play, and yet last week he made it look like a high percentage play. And to me, that's one reason it's hard. If you're going into every game expecting him to throw 5 of those perfect passes over the top, you're asking for trouble. So I think you're going to have to get that run game cranked up a little bit more tonight. However they use their running backs, I think you're going to need to see them run the ball more consistently tonight. Maybe the first time all year where it's like we're counting on your run game. Because I think it's too much to keep telling Joey Aguilar, as good as he's been, okay, go wing it for 300 again.
Well, you left out one stat. They're number 1 in the nation in tackles for loss. 11 per game is what they're averaging, and it's because their defensive tackles have been able to play like they were expected to play and contribute. So it is going to be key for Tennessee to run the game, to run the ball, because if they can run the ball, establish the run, then they are going to have to take guys out of coverage.
Going to be an interesting game tonight. Should be, basically it's a playoff game. We said that a few weeks ago that every game for Tennessee is a playoff game. This one truly is. Night game, you got Fowler and Herbstreit there, who were there on the call for the Ohio State playoff game. Hopefully this one will go better for Tennessee.
Should be warmer.
But yeah, it should be warmer. But this is one where you literally, whoever loses, you're out. So it is an elimination game. Hey, when we come back, we got a scouting report on Oklahoma. We mentioned Tennessee's pass rush. How are they going to get to John Mateer? Well, one way they're going to try attack is Oklahoma has some young tackles. We're going to tell you about that. We'll go across the studio and Paige Dower and her team to get you ready with a preview of the Oklahoma Sooners. That's next. Come on back on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. Welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. This segment of our show is called the Scouting Report. We send it over to Paige Dower and her team for an in-depth look at the Oklahoma Sooners.
Thanks, John. Joined now by Ryan Callahan of Go Vols 24/7 and then Vince Barr of 99.1 The Sports Animal. Really exciting matchup between Tennessee and Oklahoma. I think a lot of us can agree this is almost an elimination game, a chance for Tennessee to finally get a ranked win. And I think we have to start with the quarterback, specifically with John Mateer, and maybe even his thumb on the throwing hand. Of course, injured it during the Auburn game, had surgery a couple weeks later in September. But even against the Ole Miss game, I mean, he still showed that he can air it out if he needs to.
Yeah, and he's a talented guy, but he's not been playing well lately is the problem. Since coming back from the injury he suffered last month, and he came back really quickly. There was some concern he may be out multiple games. He really missed one game and took advantage of an open date getting back when he did. So he's come back, and in these 3 games, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions combined over 3 games. So the production's been okay, but just not quite the same as it was before. And everyone insists he's healthy. They say that's not an issue anymore. Hard to say for sure that that's the case, but regardless, they insist he's fine. But whatever the issue there is, it's not been the same since he came back. And I think it's something Tennessee's got to take advantage of in this game. You don't want him building some confidence early, and this secondary has been very friendly in that regard. Tennessee's got to make sure they keep John Mateer off his game by getting some pressure on him for sure. But Mateer is the key to this game in a lot of ways for Oklahoma.
Yeah, we've been talking about John Mateer all week, and it's justified because he is the key, like you mentioned. And I talked to Chris Plank, he's a sideline reporter for the Sooners Radio Network, and he also thought, like a lot of us, that he came back too early in that Texas game. He says Mateer, like you said, he says he's healthy. It's not the thumb, but he kind of thinks it might be something there for him. There's even talk about maybe something else having him banged up. He also mentioned, and you could kind of see it in games, he's not seeing the field as well as he was before. Yep. So maybe one thing is connected to the other. Or maybe he took advantage of maybe overrated defenses earlier in the year or people that didn't have a book on him. Now, like you mentioned, Tennessee's been making teams look better than they typically are in the past game. So maybe he figures it out in this one, or maybe he gets a little bit healthier, whatever the case may be. His potential as a Heisman possibility is there. He's got good receivers, good backs, but is he going to be able to reach that level? He is absolutely a key in this because he is dynamic when he's good.
Yeah, and you certainly hope Tennessee's defense doesn't help him out with the yards after the catch. We saw that against Ole Miss a couple of times, still getting about 215 yards in that game, but tackling will certainly be a key here. Yeah. Let's get to the line of scrimmage, though. I think it's been a battle in the trenches for Tennessee for much of this season, but interesting on Oklahoma's side, it's a couple of young offensive tackles that might be a difference or something to keep an eye out on.
Well, I mean, it's one thing for you to have one true freshman offensive tackle, and Tennessee has that in David Sanders. Both of their tackles are true freshmen now. And the second one, Foje, is in there. Ryan Foje is in there because Derek Simmons is doubtful for this game. So they moved him from guard to right tackle. So Fasusi, you know him in recruiting. He was a highly rated guy. So he's been there all year. But, man, that's potentially an area that Tennessee can and should attack. It's only the second career start for Foje. He started the Ole Miss game. That was his first start. So an opportunity for Tennessee to try to get the pass rush going and see how they can do, even though Foje graded out pretty well in that Ole Miss game.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Foje is the one that would seem to offer, and he's at right tackle, that would seem to offer the biggest opportunity for Tennessee to maybe exploit something there, just because he did make his first career start last week. So not as much experience there. Fasusi, big-time prospect at left tackle there, kind of Oklahoma's David Sanders in a way. So you're looking at a guy with a lot of ability there who's played pretty well so far. But again, Tennessee's got a bunch of veterans on the defensive line. They've not played as well as they did last year for most of the season, but maybe a chance to exploit some youth there in a tough environment. These guys have played in some tough environments, but I'm not sure they've faced anything quite like what they'll face tonight.
Yeah, you certainly hope that the edge rushers for Tennessee can get past those tackles, exploit some of the gaps that maybe they find and get back to the quarterback and John Mateer. But speaking of, edge rushers, we go to Oklahoma. They have one of the best, secondaries and pass rushes in the SEC and in the nation. They've got 29 sacks. They have 89 TFLs, and one coming from their defensive lineman in Wine, who has 11 TFLs on the year. But I think for Tennessee, Ole Miss has to be the blueprint in what they can do to maybe find success against a really stout pass defense and secondary in Ole Miss. And I think Kentucky could be the confidence booster, especially when we look to Joey Aguilar and how accurate he was with the football. It's probably the best ball placement we've seen all season from him.
Yeah, and you look at the Ole Miss game last week, it was same thing as this game. Offense versus defense, strength versus strength, and Ole Miss put up 34 points and won on the road. So they threw for over 300 yards against that pass defense. Hasn't happened very much, Ryan. OU has been really stout. Is it their competition? Is it their ability? Still a little bit unknown. This will be their toughest test in terms of a pass game they'll face from Tennessee.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to say 8 games into the season we don't know yet what they are, but in a way we're still sort of figuring out, are they that good? Or like you said, Vince, is it more about the competition they face for a lot of the year? Because they haven't faced many teams who throw the ball a lot. Michigan, even early in the year, that was a ranked opponent. Yeah. They weren't throwing it a lot with a young quarterback at that point. So I think Ole Miss is kind of the best comparison for what they're going to face in this game, and Ole Miss threw for 300 yards. So despite it being a top 5 defense in terms of, a lot of categories, but pass defense being one of them, I think they're more vulnerable than that stat might suggest. Our Oklahoma writers think there are some opportunities that will be there for Tennessee in the passing game. So I think there's reason to think Tennessee will be productive in this game, but the key is that pass rush. 29 sacks. Tennessee's got to protect the quarterback well in this game, and they've done that for most of the year, but this will be one of the biggest tests they've faced to this point. Yeah, one of the times where they weren't so good at that, you can go back to the Alabama game. So Joey needs a little bit more time in the pocket potentially. All right, when we come back, we're going to go to our VFLs and inside the locker room and what it's like when maybe one unit has to carry the other. We'll be right back.
Welcome back into the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. This segment of our show is called Volunteer Views. It's brought to you by VFL, Daniel Hood, and Daniel Hood Roofing, of course. Whether it's Knoxville, Nashville, or someplace in between, get a free roof inspection from Daniel Hood. He can tell you whether you need a new roof, a roof repair, or just a roof cleaning, which can extend the life of your current roof. Daniel Hood Roofing, danielhood.net. All right, back with VFL Ollie Lane, VFL Marlon Walls right there. I want to talk about what happens when a team has one side of the ball that's really, really good and another side that is really, really struggling. I ask that for the obvious reason. This year you get a pretty good offense and your defense is bad. It's just bad, and we can talk about injuries, we can talk about other reasons, but it's just gone south. They can't tackle, they can't cover. Other than that, it's great. You've been on a team, I know, recently, 2022, when the offense carried the day, and the defense was basically your job was just to slow them down as much as you can. How do you prevent sniping, back and forth inside a locker room when one group knows full well we're doing our part, you guys aren't doing yours? How do you handle that in the locker room?
It's kind of like you see the elephant in the room, but you ignore that the elephant's actually there. You try not to talk about it as much as you can. You're going to have your rumblings in your offensive meeting rooms and stuff like that. We're like, man, if the defense could do this, if they could do this, it would help us out so much. But you try to ignore it till it hits a breaking point. At some point in time, these things always hit a breaking point. I remember specifically that 22 season, South Carolina was that breaking point. After that South Carolina game, a lot of us on the offense were like, man, we scored 38 points on the road in the SEC. That should win you a football game in the SEC. And so then you start to point out these fingers. You start saying, well, it was your fault. It was your fault. You couldn't cover. You couldn't tackle. And you just, the best you can, try to avoid that to where it never got to a boiling point for us, but it can. And it's almost like a pressure cooker. You just kind of let it cook and simmer. And then when finally one side does really drop the ball in a big way, that's when you start getting people kind of voicing their concerns, calling people out on the other side. And at the end of the day, it's hard for an offensive guy to call out a defense guy because I know what you're supposed to do, but I don't know all what's entailed of what you have to do. And so then you don't know what we have to deal with, all this, yada, yada, yada. And so it just makes it worse. Yes, you want to confront them, that accountability piece, you want to have that, but there's some stuff you say for your more private meetings.
Marlon, you've been on teams where the offense carried the defense, where the defense had to carry a crummy offense. What's it like?
He's exactly right. It's you try to ignore it, but here's what happens. When you lose one of those key games, for us, I want to say I've been on two different sides of it. My red shirt junior year, we had Sal Sincere as our defensive coordinator, and we were doing a lot of experimenting.
So is that what you call it?
we were giving up record low. Well, we was record lows as far as statistical go, as far as where we were. And then on the other side, you had the Tyler Brays and the Cordell Patterson, Derek Rogers, all the rest of that kind of stuff. They were loaded on the other side. And what happens is you lose a game that you feel like you should have won, and it's either you gave up too many points or you didn't score enough points, and all of a sudden those rumblings start to come ahead in the locker room. And then the truth comes out. And then on my senior year, we had Nathan Peterman and Justin Worley at our quarterback, and we go down to Florida and, the Florida deal. And so we're playing really good on defense, couple 3-and-outs. And then we can't move the ball once they get the football. And I remember being pissed off. And then I remember my defensive line coach said, hey, if you're really good on defense, score points on defense. This defense is scoring points. I don't know how bad they are, but it all comes ahead, man. It's a tough situation for everybody in the locker room.
How important is it for the captains to try and get a grasp on that? Is that one of their duties?
Yeah, I mean, that's their task.
Or is it the coaches trying to smooth things over?
For us, it was usually the captains.
Yes, yeah.
Your coaches come to you with the problem, and they expect you to fix the problem. So you got to figure out why these conversations are happening and try to calm it down and try to fix it. But the truth is the truth, and everybody in the locker room know what's going on. So that's a hard one.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to your Jedi council, your leadership council to kind of hold those things together for them. I mean, the coaches can do what they can, but at the end of the day, it's got to be a player-led thing if you want to keep players from confronting other players like that.
Right now, based on your experience, you think this is being talked about inside the locker room over there at UT? Not loud yet because you're winning for the most part. You're 6-2. But it's the winning seems to be what masks it.
Yeah.
All right. But do you think there's got to be an offense? They have to. Those offensive players have to know what's going on. Do defensive players in those situations, are they feeling the eyes staring at them? I mean, that you got to feel like you're dropping the ball. We're looking at it from the side I'm ticked off. You're not doing your job. What about the guys who are like, oh crap, I ought to wear a bag that bad?
Yeah, most definitely. I remember in those situations, like you get more commotion in the defensive line room. You get more commotion in the linebackers room, secondary room, because you got guys that's trying to do it right, and then you notice that this guy's not doing it right, and it's on tape. And so eventually you confront that guy.
Yeah.
And then again, that breaks the group up. And so I think right now, Heupel's a really good coach as far as like reading the locker room and making sure those guys are on the same accord. But I think what happens is you drop one of these ones that, I mean, we're at 2 losses now.
Yeah.
So you drop another one.
Yeah. Now you drop from the playoff
Right.
to you're looking at the Belk ball.
Right. And then now you're starting to see your team goals that you guys set.
Yes.
Probably about to fall off. And so that's when that commotion comes. So hopefully we don't. But
All right, very good. When we come back, we got a By the Numbers segment where Tyler Ivins, Will West, and Ryan Callahan are going to take you through today's game, give you 4 questions, and they'll break down these prop bets for you. Kind of previewing tonight's action between Tennessee and Oklahoma. Come on back. Welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. This segment is called By the Numbers. We send it across the studio where Tyler Ivins and his team give you a series of prop bets to help prepare you for tonight's Tennessee-Oklahoma action.
John, appreciate you as always, man. The 3 guys every week, you know us. Ryan Callahan, Will West, loaded on last night's Halloween candy and all the numbers you need for dark mode tonight. Tennessee, Oklahoma. Gentlemen, first day of November, and I want to talk about Oklahoma on 3rd down and just how great Brent Venables' defense is. They're 3rd in the SEC on 3rd down defense against Power 4 teams. They're allowing a conversion of just at 34%. It's a pretty solid number. So, gentlemen, and I'll start with you, RC. Will Tennessee convert 39.5% on 3rd down tonight under the lights at Neyland Stadium?
I'm going to go slightly under this number. I don't think it'll be a terrible night for Tennessee offensively, but I do think that Oklahoma pass rush makes a difference in this game. Tennessee's going to have to depend on Joey Aguilar moving the chains with his legs sometimes. They're going to have to do a little bit of everything to make this number higher, but I think they'll end up probably in the upper 30s just below this number.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over here. That is Tennessee, even when their offensive struggles against Mississippi State, Arkansas, and Alabama, which I attribute to coaching malpractice.
Right.
They weren't very far behind, 39%. I think Tennessee's figured some things out. I think the coaches have learned their lesson. I think they'll be over 40%.
34, the number's 39.5. Sometimes it's a perfect little number. I think this is a good number here. I think it's just under where you want to be. 38% you can live with it, 37 in that 36 range. There'll be one that they miss out on. But no, I think if there's any part of this Oklahoma defense I don't have to question, it's how good their defense is, not only on 3rd down, but as we touch on in a few moments, red zone as well. I want to talk about Oklahoma and the SEC, especially when it comes to rushing. Because you know Tennessee has some strong backs in that backfield. In SEC play, the Sooners have the best rush defense in the league, allowing just 93 yards per game. Now the Vols, they've topped out at 142 in 4 of their 5 games. Will the Vols reach at least 139.5 rushing yards tonight, Will West, against Brent Venables' defense?
I'm going to take the over on this one as well. I'm just Homer broadcast right now. Look, I think Oklahoma are absolute frauds. If Tennessee's coaching staff, the only way Tennessee doesn't beat them by multiple scores is if Tennessee's coaching staff absolutely blows this. They'll go over 150, not just 139.5.
If they lose,
trash teams they played before Ole Miss.
Hang on.
Trash offenses.
If Tennessee loses to Oklahoma tonight, it's on the coaches.
It's on the coaches. I mean, they're -3 in turnovers. It is what it is.
Right,
but other than that, no. It will be coaching malpractice to lose tonight.
Ryan Callahan.
I have more belief in Tennessee's rush offense. Give me the over. I think they'll run, like Will said, for at least 150. I think Tennessee will run the ball well enough in this game that will not be a problem. Oklahoma's defense is good, but Tennessee's offense has been pretty reliable. I think they're going to run the ball.
A lot of numbers on Auburn, Michigan.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, not great offenses.
Right.
Over, yeah. A whole lot of just copy and paste of what you've heard from the previous 2, but I think tonight, Deshaun Bishop, this is an opportunity to continue distance yourself on the depth chart. And I think not only Star Thomas, but I think Peyton Lewis, 3-headed monster. I know it's got Halloween vibes the first day of November, but we'll have a carryover effect for at least 12 or 18 hours. Gentlemen, I mentioned red zone. Will West lead us off here. Oklahoma has allowed only 16 red zone trips all season. But 5 of those 16 came alone last week against Lane Kiffin and Trinidad Chambliss. Tennessee has made at least 4 red zone trips in every game this year except the Georgia contest. Ryan, will the Vols reach the red zone, orange zone, at least 3.5 times tonight against the Sooners?
No, I'm going to take the over on this one as well. Again, let's just homer this thing up. I think that Oklahoma are a bunch of frauds who played a bunch of nobodies, and then Ole Miss exposed who they were. I also think that defense is getting tired because that offense is failing right now.
Over, and if it's not the over, Tennessee's in big trouble in this game. I think Tennessee is going to have plenty of opportunities to score. The only thing that makes me doubt this a little bit is that Oklahoma, I think, will do everything it can to slow this game down. If they can put together some long drives, maybe makes you sweat this number a little bit, but I'll be shocked if Tennessee doesn't have at least 4 trips to the red zone.
Yeah, me too. But now we have to ask how many of those 7s are 3s. And how many of those 3s turned into 7s? You've seen this number float, coincidentally, the spread in the 4 range.
Yep.
Subbing 3s for 7s. That's where your 4s come in, a key number for a lot of people in the desert. I think there's a reason why that hook keeps playing in and off the 3.5, 4.5, because what happens when you do have to trade 3s for 7s?
Do we worry that long passes might keep this number down?
That is my one concern is big plays, splash plays, but Oklahoma's pretty good at stopping the splash plays. More so Tennessee will have to grind this out with tempo.
Yep.
Speaking of those big pass plays, Ryan Callahan, Joey Aguilar is averaging a sizzling 318 passing yards in 5 SEC games so far. So, gentlemen, will he throw for at least 299 in the hook against the Sooners' pass defense later this evening?
This is a good number. I'm going to take the under on this one. I don't think Tennessee quite gets there. I think Oklahoma, to your point, will do everything it can to keep Chris Brazzell in front of their secondary. I think they will keep them from going downfield quite as much. It's going to make Aguilar kind of earn it 15, 20 yards at a time instead of 40 or 50 at a time. I think he ends up in the 250 range probably.
Ryan is correct. The rushing game is going to be there. Short passes are what's going to work here. Tennessee's going to have to be disciplined, take that 6, 7 yards at a time. But it means no 300-yard day for Joey Aguilar.
So this offense is incomplete and looks clunky when they're not getting Chris Brazzell the ball. But then last week in the win against Kentucky, albeit however it was, bad defense, how it was set up, they looked great when Chris Brazzell got the ball. Get Chris Brazzell the football tonight, even if you have to force feed it. And if it's not him, then I bet you Mike Matthews, Miles Kitzelman, or even Braylon Staley would love to be on the opposite end of some of these big plays from number 6. I think this is a good number. I think it's just over that number. I like Joey Aguilar to eclipse 3 Bills tonight. Gentlemen, appreciate it as always. The Johns and the VFLs, the college football playoff lives are on the line for Tennessee. What do they need to do to get to that next game heading into the open date? I'll tell you next here on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff.
Welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. This segment of our program, it's called Keys to Victory. It's brought to you by Madisonville Marine. People drive from all over the South, and I mean that, to Madisonville to buy a boat because their prices are better than anyone, their customer service is better than anyone, their selection is bigger than anyone. Visit madmarine.com this week. There is no better place to buy a boat. All right, Keys to Victory. Guess what? That means I want to know your keys to victory. What's it going to take for Tennessee to win tonight? We just throw up. The door is open, so whoever wants to go first can go first.
You take a look at what John Mateer. Sorry about that.
You're good.
Yeah, just shut him up.
There you go.
This is somebody who, of course, was right up there with Arch Manning in terms of preseason Heisman hype. He was thought to be the very best quarterback available in the portal. Played like it from the get-go, but now it's been different since he's come back from the injury. Credit to him for going through that as quickly as he did and getting back on the field. But that's where 2 of their 3 losses has come from. He hasn't been the most accurate, and it seems as though the line is really struggling to protect him. So if Tennessee can get him off his spot, it seems like the decision-making is one that's more of a panic reaction than anything else right now.
Absolutely. And I will use that to play off that and give you my second key here. That's the turnover battle. Last week against Ole Miss, there were a couple of times where they had him wrapped up, and rather than just going down, he started to try and do something dumb with the football. He raises it up like he's going to shot put it to somebody, and he's got guys draped all over him. He didn't. He wound up eating it and taking the sack. But he did not look like a guy who was comfortable. Look, nobody likes to be sacked, but at the same time, you got to know, I want to live to play another play. I'm not going to give you the ball at my 20. So if Tennessee can get back there and start harassing him, I love the fact that you're targeting his decision-making because I saw that against Ole Miss as an issue. Also, in terms of forcing turnovers off those guys, they are -6 on the year. Tennessee's +4. Your defense, while it has struggled mightily, one thing it's done is it's turned the ball over. They've given you 5 touchdowns. They've scored themselves. They've given Tennessee's offense the ball in numerous positions. Offense hasn't always cashed in. Tonight, they give it to you, you better cash in. So I love the fact, get after Mateer, force some turnovers.
Yeah, I think a big area, a big key for this game is going to be our offensive line. what is our offensive line's ability to handle those guys, give Joey enough time to make things happen, but then also open up the holes in the running game. This is probably going to be the best defensive line that this offensive line has faced. And look, I've praised this offensive line all season. I think they're a great offensive line. I think they're going to go out there and take care of business tonight. But it is going to be a very hard test. I'm hoping this is not the game we decide to make a lot of transitions on the offensive line throughout the game, especially with their 2 D tackles being pretty much the star players on that D line right now. You don't want to be switching around guards in the middle of this game. You want these guys to get comfortable, get a sense of who they're handling, and then kind of take it from there. And I think that's the mindset going into this one. I'll look for a big game from one Sam Pendleton and one Wendell Moy in that interior to kind of handle things down.
Moy has been a guy that, in terms of the pass rush, that's the guy people have targeted.
Yeah.
So he'll need a big game tonight. How much do you see of David Sanders? This is really a massive game for him in terms of playing a game of this level,
this is the biggest game that he's played in.
Yeah, so I think that the offensive line, we talked about it earlier in the show. You're right, protect Aguilar, but boy, I really want to see you help Aguilar by get the run game going. Take some of the pressure off of Joey Aguilar. Marlon, you got anything?
I'm going to go back to the fundamentals, right? We talk about blocking and tackling. Tackling is the one that we've struggled with. That's where you see our holes on defense start to be exposed. It was this thing we used to do. We called it pursuit drill. You put the cones out there, and each guy got a position, a cone you got to run to. We've got to pursue the football tonight. And that way, that helps you when you have a guy that miss a tackle. There's 3 other guys that's come.
Yes.
Get the guy on the ground. So for us, I would say we've got to tackle better. We've got to pursue the football. That's all 11 guys on defense got to run and get to that football. So I'm hoping that Tennessee did a lot of pursuit drills this week in strategy for Oklahoma this weekend.
Anybody got anything else? Or I'll turn it to specific players. Go ahead.
I would say this as well. The receivers had a great game last week.
Yes.
They're going to need it again this week.
That's where I was going. Okay. No, I think they didn't have drops.
Right.
We had said the week before, you got to cut down on these drops. You got more drops than anybody in the country except for App State. I don't remember any drops at all last week.
No.
I thought they played well. Yeah. Not only did Aguilar put it in the perfect position all night long, but they held on to the ball. They snagged it. It was good to have. Yeah. Well, we'll get into this in a second. But do you want to follow up on that?
And I was going to say this too. What Joey's been really good at this year is throwing the 50-50 ball.
Yeah.
We're going to need those receivers to go get those 50-50 balls. And when you're playing against good competition at the corner spot, safety spot, you're going to have to win a couple battles with the ball in the air. So if the receivers can show up today, go win those 50-50s, we know Joey's going to put it up there for them.
Okay, John, you were going to go.
Just going to say it's only appropriate. We've said his name a ton this season, but night after Halloween, dark mode, great night for Boo, don't you think?
Wow, you guys are killing it. Because, yes, big night for Boo. And also because he did not have – he didn't bathe himself in glory last week.
No, he did not.
There were one play he completely whiffed on a tackle, and on another one it looked like he gave up on a play.
Yeah.
And as guys, this gets back to our final word. Go check it out on YouTube. In the final word we've said all year, why don't you need some explosive guys on offense. Give this guy a touch at some point.
Yeah.
Well, if you're not handling your business on defense, I don't know how much we can.
Yeah.
So he also has to take care of he's got to take care of his job in the punt return. He's not been as explosive this year as he was last year. It's a great night for Boo, and I didn't even think about the Halloween thing. So Boo Carter is one, and then Ollie, we had somebody that stepped up for Tennessee last week who you had been wanting to see more from, Ethan Davis.
Yes.
And you want to continue to see him take a larger and larger role in the offense.
And I think tonight could be a big night for him, somewhat of what you alluded to at the beginning with the defense that they might play dropping back. This would be a big night for Ethan Davis, and I think he's a type of guy that can catch it and then get another 5 to 10 yards after that, just by his sheer size and athleticism. And, I mean, look, instant impact. Last week, came in, caught 2 passes, 1 was a touchdown. I think if they use the tight ends, which are probably going to end up getting in a situation where they might have to, I think Ethan Davis is a good option for you.
I throw this out there. When you've got a dominant defensive line that gets out of the quarterback, tight end screen.
Hope to see it. Anybody on defense you want to see that really needs to stand out tonight?
I would say Spielman with Arian Carter dealing with the turf toe and both. Like you got to have somebody to step up and lead the defense.
Yep.
It's usually one of your linebackers. I can throw out Joshua Joseph, but that's an obvious one.
Yeah.
So I go with Spielman and say I want to see that guy step up, take the next step. We know we're going to get out of Neyland. I want to see that guy kind of step up and assume that role in Carter's absence.
All right. Very good. It is prediction time when we come back on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. You're going to get 9 predictions for Tennessee versus Oklahoma. We got that next. Come on back. Welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. This segment of our show is called Who Wins and Why. It's brought to you by Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville on Callahan Drive. Go visit them because they will beat any deal offered to you by any Kia dealer on any Kia. That's pretty good. Anywhere else you go, you're spending too much money, unless you go to Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville on Callahan Drive. All right, time for predictions. Let's send it over to the other side of the studio. Paige Dower and her crew first, then Tyler and Will.
All right, in this ranked matchup, I'll take the Tennessee Volunteers 34-27. It's above the averages for both teams, one when Tennessee's at home and then the other for Oklahoma in Power 4 conference games. The difference maker will be Joey Aguilar connecting with his wide receivers down the field like they did against Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm going to go Tennessee 38-35. I know that's way over the number, but I just have a feeling this is going to be a wild game. There's going to be craziness, probably some non-offensive touchdowns, but in the end, it'll be Tennessee's offense that will win a shootout.
Give me Tennessee 31, Oklahoma 27. I think similar to you, it's going to be a really close game coming right down to the end, but I just think Oklahoma's going to do what it can to slow down this game as much as possible. Might see some longer drives. You want to keep that Tennessee offense off the field as much as possible. So I think they'll slow this game down as much as they can. Tennessee wins the close.
Some people must like copying off the smart kid in the classroom. I'll also take Tennessee 31, Oklahoma 27. I think this is an opportunity, as we've already highlighted, for the run game, not only to continue to flex its muscle, but Joey Aguilar shows why he's the best passer in the SEC, not Ty Simpson, not John Mateer, even pre-injury. Vols keep their college football playoff hopes alive. Again, Vols 31, Sooners 27.
I'm going to 44-34. I think that Tennessee's going to score a lot of points in this game. I think the only way Tennessee doesn't beat Oklahoma by 2 scores is if the coaching staff slows it down. And if they still slow it down at this point, I don't know what to tell you or how you can help them. This has been coaching malpractice if they slow this down and you end up losing this game. I think they don't. Tennessee wins by 10.
All right, you heard 5 picks. We got 4 more down here. We'll start with Ollie Lane. What are you going with? Mr. Dark Mode?
Yeah, I've been going back and forth on this one, but I know for sure Tennessee's going to win this game, and I think I'm going to go 42-32. I think it'll be a good, handily win. I think we're going to take care of business. There'll be some tightness, but I don't think you're going to see the typical we get conservative when we get the lead. I think they're going to continue to hammer it on home all the way to the end of that 60 minutes.
All right, 42-32. He's got the Vols by 10. John Wilkerson.
I also like Tennessee. I'm going to go Vols 37, Sooners 27. And I do think Tennessee will be able to impact John Mateer and make it a long second half.
All right, very good. Marlon.
All right, I'm going Tennessee 34-28. I like us at home. I like dark mode. I like the fact we're going to get after Mateer a little bit. That's going to cause a couple turnovers. Offense scores off those turnovers this year.
We heard some wider picks on the other side. Those folks aren't as bought in on Oklahoma as maybe I am. If this game were in Norman, Oklahoma, I might go with the Sooners, but it's not. So I'll take Tennessee by a score of 42-35. I think it's going to be high scoring. With Tennessee's defense, you're just going to have to outscore people from here on out. 42-35, I think the home field advantage, the dark mode crowd.
Yep.
And I think Oklahoma will turn the ball over a time or two. So I got the Vols winning this one. In terms of the impact on the rankings, you win this, it would be Tennessee's first win of the season against a ranked opponent. John, it'd be their first win against an SEC team that has a win. John, do you think they have enough of a resume? We said it's a playoff elimination game. Let's say they continue to win out. Is their resume good enough to get them in your opinion?
I don't think so right now. And I think there are going to be a lot of people in that pool when all is said and done. So I do think this is where Tennessee not only has to win every game to keep its foot in the door, but this is where they're going to build their resume from this point forward.
Agreed. All right. Marlon Walls, Ollie Lane, John Wilkerson, thanks to all of you. Thanks to you for watching. Hey, we want to remind you that coming up in a week, we're in the Games and Things arena. That's where we're broadcasting from this side of the studio. If you want to make your game room at home, your entertainment center look like ours? Anything from basketball goals to dartboards to shuffleboard to poker tables to a jukebox. You get to ourgameroom.com. Visit them there, or if you're in Knoxville, check them out at the corner of Kingston Pike and Lover Road. Games and things. We'll see you tomorrow for the Sports Source right here on WATE, or if you're watching CW Nashville, you can catch us tomorrow afternoon on the Sports Source Digital Network. We'll have it up there. And of course, we'll be back next week with the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. Have a good one. Good luck to the Vols.
The Sports Source Saturday Kickoff is brought to you by Hearthside Bank and by Madisonville Marine.